Yep.
Meanwhile, back in the publishing world, R.L. Stine continued to work on the Goosebumps books, wrapping up his contract with Scholastic as a new young adult series was taking the nation by storm.
Harry Potter.
In 1997, Scholastic spent $100,000 to purchase the U.S. rights to a young adult novel entitled Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
What's up, everybody? Celtic Scarecrow here, back from the video at those 10s and 20 view. Welcome back to the reaction channel. Channel has been going on for going on 11 days now, and doing exactly what I thought was going to happen. To be all honest, my reactions were getting the more views of the two other styles of videos I was doing. Gained 10 new subscribers in like the first not even 2 weeks, so I subscribed to my channel twice. Got 2 different other channels, why not just get the free thing in there? But yeah, we have over 836 views. Almost 90 watch hours, which is really good. So let's continue that today with another video called The Lawsuit That Killed Goosebumps by channel Surf? S-E-R-F-E-R. So Surf. I don't know. Don't know your channel, dude. You have way more subscribers than me, but that's not hard. But yeah, this video has a good number of views. Let's check it out. I, as a dyslexic kid, did not like to read. I don't think schools, certainly my parents, did a good enough job like helping me, encourage me with like grade level books that I was reading at. Goosebumps was one of those books I actually did like, which is shocking. The kids' horror books that was similar to Are You Afraid of the Dark, I liked. So let's get over to the reaction. There, of course, is the panel page logo and title of the page, and of course, link to the original video is in the description. If you have not seen it, pause, open the video in the new tab, watch the video, and then watch me react to the video. So get them the views too.
You will be wed.
Also, the show was, the show was great. This had a fantastic intro.
You will be wed. You're in for a scare. Goosebumps.
I'm not sure if he's going to get into it, but they had what? 2 movies starring Jack Black, which were meh. They had a recent TV series with, I forget his name, but he's the guy from Jeepers Creepers, and that was a really good series. And now a new one with the guy who played Ross in Frenner. So I haven't watched that one yet, but let's see what this is about.
For those who grew up in the 1990s, the Goosebumps franchise was unavoidable. Originally released as a horror book series for children,
I'm pretty sure I have all 4 of these books. I know I have this one, and I'm pretty sure I have that one.
Goosebumps quickly grew beyond the world of literature, spawning a television series, games, toys, and loads of merchandise. By the mid-90s, the Goosebumps brand...
I'm sorry that anybody's questioning like the thing. I think this is on his end because he's probably grabbing these footages from less quality videos.
Was everywhere, raking in millions of dollars for its publisher Scholastic and its author R.L. Stine. But as the franchise exploded in popularity, a legal battle would manifest between Stine and Scholastic, which would ultimately lead to the franchise's downfall.
Ooh, I did not know that.
R.L. Stine began his publishing career in the 1970s, serving as the editor for the teen humor magazine Bananas, which...
This shows you can still make it. This was the 70s. This was 20 years into his career before I think his first major solo thing happened.
Was published by Scholastic Press. In 1984, the magazine folded, and Stine was encouraged by his editors to dabble in young adult horror, a literary genre sweeping the book world. By the mid-1980s...
Did that say Twilight?
Horror, a literary genre sweeping the book world. By the mid-1980s, authors like Christopher Pike and Lois Duncan had grown to prominence, writing paperback thriller novels aimed at teenagers.
Not this one. Granted, I was born in the 80s.
Stein took a crack at it, publishing Blind Date in 1986, followed by a string of standalone teen thrillers. As his work gained in popularity, Stein and his wife Jane set up a publishing company called Parachute Press. The company worked out a deal with Simon & Schuster to publish their new teen horror series Fear Street, with the first installment, The New Girl, being published in 1989.
Whoa, that look, just especially since The New Girl, is definitely a R.L. Stein thing, like Goosebumps style.
The series was presented in an anthology style, with each installment following different characters within the fictional town of Shadyside. The series depicted dark themes like murder, hauntings, and psychic phenomena, and by the early 1990s, Fear Street had soared in popularity to become one of the best-selling book series for young adults, with Stein releasing a new book every single month. Around this time, Stein was in...
God damn! That's like Stephen King level of writing. That's just had to be unsustainable for a long period of time, to be honest.
Encouraged by his wife Jane to create a new horror series, this time aimed at children rather than teens. The result was Goosebumps, with Stein lifting the name from an ad he saw in TV Guide. Like Fear Street, the Goosebumps books would be anthological in nature, with
Also, you aim your books towards kids, and like you could then do like every so often a book that maybe not geared towards kids, or a TV series that's aimed more towards that teen feeling. So kids who've read the books are like, yes, let's watch it.
each installment featuring a child protagonist facing sinister supernatural forces. Goosebumps' target demographic was children ages 8 through 12, and in 1991, Parachute Press signed a deal with the Scholastic Corporation, allowing them to publish the first 6
I've had every single one of these. I've every single one of these somewhere in my house.
Goosebumps books. While Parachute would own the series' trademark, the agreement gave Scholastic control over the book's non-publication rights, which would include adaptations, merchandise, and other licensing deals.
Oh, that was the dumb part. No. Oh, you should have flipped it. You keep everything that's not the actual book. Oh, stupid.
Additionally, Parachute agreed to a stipulation that said that R.L. Stein would be the sole writer of each installment in the series. The first two books, Welcome to Dead House and Stay Out of the Basement, were published by Scholastic in July of 1992. More installments quickly followed, but with limited promotion, the series was not a huge hit right off the bat. However, Goosebumps would benefit heavily from being included in Scholastic book fairs, which took...
God. How many people wasted their money on stuff at the Scholastic Book Fair? I remember... I forget how old I was, but I bought an Emmitt Smith poster. I was like, oh, Emmitt Smith, great running back. Cool. My dad saw that. I was like, go back, trade that in, go get something else. And I think I ended up getting Goosebumps. A lot of little kid Christmas presents to the parents was from Scholastic Book Fair.
Place at various elementary schools across the country. Scholastic had begun doing book fairs in 1981, in which the company would deliver books to school libraries and display them for a full week, allowing students to browse and purchase them. The event was designed to raise money for schools and promote literacy amongst grade school children, also serving as a valuable outlet for Scholastic to promote its books directly to kids. Within a year of its publication, Goosebumps had become a big hit at book fairs, with 1.8 million copies of the series in print by 1993. And though R.L. Stein was already a recognizable name with teen readers thanks to Fear Street, Goosebumps helped him reach a younger demographic, delivering his signature spooky tales to an elementary school crowd.
I hate to break to you, but it was more closer to teenagers.
Many applauded Stein for creating content that got children reading. Others expressed concern that the horror themes present in these books were too scary for young readers. But regardless of what parents and...
I will say this. Parents, know what your kids are reading and watching. That's a simple thing. 2, as long as it's not like heavily gory or, foul language, let little kids watch it and then teach them like, hey, this is a movie. This does not depict reality. My parents did that to me. I grew up and one of my favorite movies was Halloween. At the age of like 6. I knew it was a movie. I knew it was fiction. Never thought of unaliving people in a white out William Shatner mask.
And critics thought one thing was for certain. Children of the 90s loved to be scared, and Goosebumps was delivering the goods. Scholastic and Parachute Press quickly renewed their contract, agreeing to publish more Goosebumps books written solely by Stein. And
Let's see, which ones are
renewed
those?
their contract, agreeing to publish
I have Night of the Living Dummy, and I don't think I had any of the others.
more Goosebumps books written solely by Stein.
Oh, Girl
And
Cry
through
Monster,
word
yeah, I
of
remember
mouth, Goosebumps' popularity grew immensely, with the books in the series consistently hitting the bestseller list. In addition to the original series, the first spin-off book was released in October of 1994, a short story collection entitled Tales to Give You Goosebumps, and the series overall was now outpacing sales of Fear Street. While Goosebumps had
Well, yeah, he stopped writing them.
grown steadily in its first few years of publication, 1995 was the year that the series exploded in popularity. An interactive spin-off book series entitled Give Yourself Goosebumps was introduced, and between the original book series and its spin-offs, Scholastic was reportedly
Night of the Living Dummy. That is still one of the best little kid horror books. Is the Night of the Living Dummy series from
shipping
Goosebumps.
out 4 million copies of Goosebumps books every single month, as the series now had over 70 million copies in circulation. Fall of 1995 would see the premiere of the Goosebumps television series, produced by Scholastic Productions. The pilot episode, an adaptation of the 11th Goosebumps book, The Haunted Mask, premiered in a primetime slot on the Fox network, before moving to its regular time slot on Friday afternoons during the Fox Kids block.
Also, that Fox Kids block was the shit. Batman, Spider-Man, X-Men, Goosebumps. It was just like, hey, this is all the greatest shows ever. And, WB also had a great line. It was like, Fox also had Digimon, which was better than Pokemon. But it had like Pokemon, Animaniacs, all these great shows.
The series received high ratings and positive viewer feedback, prompting the creation of yet another spin-off book series based on the TV episode.
I think I had Cuckoo Clock of Doom. Cuckoo Clock of Doom.
Episodes entitled Goosebumps Presents. In 1996, Scholastic began releasing episodes of the TV series on VHS, and the franchise was now expanding beyond books and TV, with various products being released bearing the Goosebumps logo. In July of 1996, Scholastic announced a $40 million deal with the Pepsi Company to promote Goosebumps through various Pepsi-owned products. Miniature Goosebumps books would be included in 30 million bags of chips, and millions of dollars worth of ads on TV would draw attention to the promotion. Goosebumps merchandise was being pumped out left and right, and brand exposure was higher than ever.
I'm pretty sure I had a Goosebumps t-shirt. And that's really about it. I think I had a Goosebumps t-shirt.
The series had begun as an organic word-of-mouth literary phenomena and had quickly turned into a mainstream multimedia brand. And Scholastic as a company had benefited immensely from the franchise, reaching $1 billion in sales and being dubbed the Disney of children's book publishing.
Damn.
But Parachute Press was growing increasingly frustrated by their agreement with Scholastic. In early 1996, Jane Stein, along with Parachute Press executive Joan Waricka, attended a meeting with Dick Robinson, the head of Scholastic, in which they asked the publisher to give Parachute control of Goosebumps licensing, along with a $10 million signing bonus.
Wasn't going to happen. The best you can do is saying, hey, we want royalties. And it's somewhat of a say, not we want control over it.
Scholastic refused. The Goosebumps brand, including all of its licensing deals, was now responsible for half of the company's profits. Relations between Parachute and Scholastic quickly deteriorated, with one former Scholastic employee telling the press, World War III began that day, and it killed the brand.
Which really, R.L. Stein just had to stop writing Goosebumps books and just write a new series and be like, hey, because of this, we've seen it before. It would have been the smart move, Bungie and 343.
Despite their differences, the two sides signed a new deal in November of 1996, which gave Parachute control over the negotiation of licensing deals, with Scholastic having the right to approve or deny the deals. The new agreement
See, that's smart. Kind of I would have rather flipped it, but
would allow Scholastic to publish 106 new books from Parachute and would increase the royalty rate that Parachute was to be paid from Scholastic. But the
yeah,
new
smart.
contract also
Smart.
contained an important provision that if any of its terms were breached, the agreement would be void and the two parties would revert back to their previous agreements.
Oh, God.
With the Goosebumps TV series entering its second season, over 40 Goosebumps licensing deals had been secured, and the franchise was hitting a new peak. But by 1997, the empire would begin to falter as internal and external pressures threatened to tear it apart. In February of 19...
Oh, I thought that was going to be an ad there. 'Cause that was a good pause. Like thinking like, oh, ad. Yeah, so you figure this is the big issue, and this is something I slightly worry about, because I have said in the past, I want to team up with other small-ish, just small, YouTubers, Twitch people who play video games, like similar to how I do. And it's like, hey, let's just play games and help try to grow each other the same way the boys did. But you get that one person who's just like, I'm bringing in the most views, therefore I should get the most money. It's like, no, dude, it's not how we're trying to do this. And it's like, and it can just really rip the group apart, which I think this is what's going to happen right here.
1997, Scholastic announced to investors that sales of Goosebumps books were unexpectedly declining, which would result in the company's stock values dropping.
Though, yeah, your target demographic is aging out. So,
The drop in sales was attributed to older Goosebumps books not selling as well as they had in the past.
I had Haunted Mask 2. I had the Abominable Snowman of Pasadena.
With over 180 million Goosebumps books in print, it appeared that the book series had finally reached the ceiling of its success. The news hit investors hard, with Scholastic stock dropping 41%.
Also, you got to figure, why read when it's on TV? That's a big deterrent when like all your best books are on TV and you were selling the episodes as VHS. So it's like someone like myself who's dyslexic to all hell would be like, I'll just watch the book. So what I do now with the Harry Potter books, I'll re-listen to them instead of reading them.
The company's stockholders subsequently filed a lawsuit against Scholastic, charging that it knew about Goosebumps' declining sales months earlier but had deliberately concealed.
Also, for possible Harry Potters. I don't think really Harry Potter really was aimed at kids. I just think he was like, the kid's 11. I'm writing a good story.
The information. While book sales had dipped, the Goosebumps franchise remained strong overall in 1997, as a Disney World theme park attraction opened and the TV series was moved to Saturday mornings, becoming a top-rated show on the Fox Kids block. But by mid-1997, relations between Scholastic and Parachute had completely soured. The two entities reportedly came to a stalemate over licensing deals, with 16 different deals falling through because of their internal disagreements. In summer of 1997, Scholastic accused Parachute of using unapproved forms to make licensing deals. Scholastic saw this as a violation of their contract, which they said gave them the
Oh, yeah. That's the one thing is, if you get something in writing and then you screw it up, that's not
right to void the current contract and revert back to previous terms. This would mean that Parachute's higher royalty rate, which was negotiated in the newest contract, was also void, with Scholastic halting its royalty payments to Parachute. In response, Parachute Press filed a lawsuit against Scholastic, charging that Scholastic had breached their contract and owed them $36 million in royalties.
God damn. Hold on. In calculator. So, I'm just doing inflation. I'm just doing it for inflation. And, let's see, not 1903, 1997. Okay, cool. 36 million. So, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Calculate. Wow, so that would be pretty much doubled. That ain't that bad. Granted. Yeah, so 71. Pretty much 72 million, roughly. Roughly so.
Scholastic countersued, alleging that
course
Parachute
it
had
did.
breached the contract first by hiring ghostwriters to write the Goosebumps books.
Oh, yep. R.L. Stein would be the only one writing.
According to the contract made between Scholastic and Parachute, Stein was to be the sole writer of the original Goosebumps books, though the agreement did permit him to use ghostwriters for books in the spin-off series. According to Scholastic, R.L. Stein did write the first 16 books himself.
Let's see. All the ones I owned. Welcome to Deadland, yes. The Elevation, yes. Monster Blood, yes. Stay Cheese and Die. Curse of Mummy's Tomb. Let's Get Invisible. Pretty much the whole top row. Haunted Mask. Werewolf of Fever Swamp, I want to say. And Welcome to One Day in Horrorland. I really like that one.
However, starting with book number 17, Why I'm Afraid of Bees, Scholastic claimed that Parachute began hiring ghostwriters, who would be given a 10-page outline from Stein and turn it into a full manuscript of around 120 pages. These ghostwriters allegedly made a majority of the creative decisions, while Stein would review the manuscripts and make minimal revisions before publication. Scholastic claims that Stein was working more as an editor rather than a writer, thus breaking the terms of their contract. Scholastic even claimed that the declining sales of the Goosebumps books were a direct result of Stein employing ghostwriters, as they were not able to adequately recreate Stein's unique voice.
Yeah, I never even heard of those ones. Granted, I probably aged out of that demographic. Hey, U.S. women just scored. IIA, International Hockey Federation. So this is the women's world tournament going on. It's U.S. versus Czech, and U.S. just scored.
R.L. Stein was releasing 24 books per year, and while some questioned how this was possible, he had always publicly denied using ghostwriters, joking to the press in 1993 that he's much too greedy to hire assistants. But over the course of the lawsuit, Parachute did...
Yeah, no, that's kind of untenable, especially at that level of, books.
Did admit to hiring writer's assistants for Stein, starting with book 17 in the Goosebumps series, in order to meet deadlines and allow Stein more time to make promotional appearances. But Parachute said that the contributions from these assistants were minimal, and that Stein was still making a majority of creative decisions, including coming up with book titles, plots, and characters.
Still, if you're on paper saying he's the only one allowed to write, unfortunately, in a technical, legal sense, breach of contract.
Parachute claimed that Stein still had full creative control and was not breaching his contract by using assistants, which they said was common industry practice. With Goosebumps in legal limbo, and both sides retaining some ownership of the brand, it was unknown how things would continue. In October of 1997, Scholastic went ahead and published the latest Goosebumps book, a spin-off entitled Goosebumps Triple Header. The book would include 3 original short stories, being presented by a triple-headed monster named Lefty, Righty, and Slim. Shortly thereafter, Parachute filed another lawsuit against Scholastic in federal court, claiming that the publisher had breached their 1996 agreement and was engaging in copyright infringement with its release of the triple header book.
Oh, God. Why? Because you're in court, they can't try to make more money?
Despite these lawsuits, the two parties were still under contract for dozens of new Goosebumps books. In late 1997, Scholastic stated that it would continue to publish the Goosebumps series as planned, and Parachute agreed to deliver new manuscripts for publication until the courts made their decision.
That's kind of...
Other spin-off projects remained in development, including a Goosebumps feature film produced by Tim Burton.
There's a Goosebumps made by Tim Burton? That would have been amazing. Beetlejuice, but more kids-friendly?
At the time, Jane Stein was quoted as saying, "It is quite unpleasant, but we still work with them every day." The two companies were still benefiting heavily from the Goosebumps franchise, and both had a vested interest in keeping the ball rolling. A brand new series entitled Goosebumps Series 2000 was launched in January of 1998, with one new book being published each month.
See, this is where, like, if you're R.L. Stein's team, you create a new series. Kind of launch it as a spin-off of Goosebumps, but not under the Goosebumps umbrella.
While sales had dipped from its peak, the books were still selling well, with the new series quickly becoming one of the best-selling book series in children's literature. The Goosebumps TV series also continued to do well, with the show expanding to air 6 days a week on the Fox Kids block. But by 1998, the block overall was succumbing to increased competition, with its viewership decreasing by 30%. The Goosebumps
The Power Rangers got bad quickly.
series was renewed for an abbreviated 4th season of just 8 episodes, which aired in fall of 1998. After quietly wrapping up its run on Saturday mornings, Fox began airing reruns on its new cable network Fox Family in the fall of 1999.
Don't remember that channel, but yeah, it would make sense, especially if you just bring it back for Halloween.
But Scholastic was not happy with this move, which they said violated their contract. Scholastic claimed that it was entitled to the profits Fox made from distributing the series to other TV outlets, while Fox maintained that Fox Family was a part of their network, thus not subject to any further fees. So yet another lawsuit was initiated, with Scholastic suing Fox for copyright infringement and seeking $2.7 million in damages. The TV series continued to air in reruns on Fox Family until 2001.
Also, they're reruns, so if anything, it keeps driving the book sales.
And reportedly sold very well on home video. It's unknown if the producers of the series had any plans to continue with a 5th season. But with such a high-profile lawsuit between its owners, new episodes of the series were out of the question, and the show was effectively canceled.
Yep.
Meanwhile, back in the publishing world, R.L. Stine continued to work on the Goosebumps books, wrapping up his contract with Scholastic as a new young adult series was taking the nation by storm.
Harry Potter.
In 1997, Scholastic spent $100,000 to purchase the U.S. rights to a young adult novel entitled Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
Yep, the other book that not reading, listening to books. My mom read it. But yeah, no, Harry Potter took off. And probably because the Harry Potter books aged up with their demographic and it was one continuous story. So someone like me, who was actually 11 when the book came out, I was the same age as Harry, dealing with the same, not magical, problems that he was. Awkwardness, weird kids that just didn't like you for whatever reason, finding girls actually interesting instead of just annoying. Snake version of Hitler trying to kill me every year. You know, the normal things that teenagers go through.
Thanks to positive word of mouth, the fantasy novel became a huge hit in England, and the following year, Scholastic released J.K. Rowling's debut novel in America under the title Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
Yeah, because the Americans didn't know what a Philosopher's Stone was.
Matching its overseas success, the book became a bestseller in the U.S., topping the New York Times bestseller list in
I'm pretty sure I got first edition somewhere around there.
1999. 2 Harry Potter sequels were published by Scholastic that same year, and though the Goosebumps franchise was still tied up in court, the publisher had found a new cash cow to milk. R.L. Stine and Parachute Press continued delivering Goosebumps 2000 and Give Yourself Goosebumps books, but the writing was on the wall for the series. Sales had declined to just 200,000 copies per month, as the series had been overshadowed heavily by Harry Potter along with another Scholastic young adult series, Animorphs.
Oh, Animorphs.
To put it simply, in the ever-evolving world of children's entertainment, Goosebumps was old news. Moving on from Scholastic, R.L. Stine and Parachute signed a new deal with HarperCollins, which would release Stine's new young adult horror series, The Nightmare Room, along with a brand new 12-book Goosebumps series entitled Goosebumps Gold.
So I'm saying, The Nightmare Room would have been the better thing to do earlier.
HarperCollins initially planned to release both series in the year 2000, with the first Nightmare Room installment being released in August. But in late 2000, the release of Goosebumps Gold was postponed without explanation. Artist Tim Jacobus, who had created the cover art for most of the Goosebumps books, posted a page on his website promoting the Goosebumps Gold series for release in 2001. The website even gave a preview of the first 2 installments, but the series was canceled before its release, likely due to the ongoing litigation between Scholastic and Parachute about the rights to the series.
The 1000
After the
do
final
that.
Goosebumps books were published in the year 2000, the series would lay dormant for several years. Scholastic's revenue continued to grow significantly with the Harry Potter series, now a global phenomena that had far surpassed Goosebumps' success.
The fact that Harry Potter hasn't, well, granted, they're putting a series out where there's like, you know what, we have perfect descriptions of pretty much every character. Let's just ignore that. But, yeah, like a new TV series is coming out, which I'm probably not gonna watch it. It's one of the things where it's like, this is what Snape looks like. This is the actor. Why can't you just, nothing like him?
It wasn't until 2003 that the complex web of lawsuits plaguing the Goosebumps franchise finally came to a conclusion. First, in January of 2003, Parachute Press and Scholastic came to a settlement, with Scholastic agreeing to pay Parachute $9.65 million for the rights to Goosebumps and its trademark. And in June of that year, Scholastic lost its case against Fox regarding the airing of Goosebumps on the Fox Family Channel. The irony is that by the time these lawsuits were settled, much of the public interest in the Goosebumps franchise had died out. As the books
I would say more aged out and went over to Harry Potter because, like I said, Harry Potter was aging up with its audience.
series ended in the year 2000 and the TV series stopped airing in 2001, Goosebumps had lost much of the potency that had made it so popular back in the 1990s. However, copies of Goosebumps books still existed in schools and libraries across the world, and new generations of young readers would continue to discover the series for the first time. In November of 2003, Scholastic began re-releasing books from the original series with slightly modified covers. Goosebumps
Smart call.
continued to sell around 2 million copies per year.
Stay Out of the Basement, I actually think, is the theme to the dude from Friends version of season of Goosebumps.
And the franchise overall received a boost when reruns of the TV series began airing on Cartoon Network in 2007. In 2008, Goosebumps was resurrected as Goosebumps Horrorland, a new book series with R.L. Stine at the helm. The series ran until 2012 and was followed by 3 more series, including Goosebumps House of Shivers, which is still being published today. And the long-awaited feature film adaptation of Goosebumps finally came to fruition in 2015, with Jack
This is a very kid-friendly version of it.
Black portraying a fictionalized version of Stine. To this day,
Funny note, the end of the movie, R.L. Stine, Jack Black, takes a role as a teacher, and he says hello to the music teacher, Mr. Black, who was actually R.L. Stine. So they had each other playing a role in their more prominent thing.
R.L. Stine maintains that he wrote all of the Goosebumps books himself, saying that he only used outside writers to help with the outlines. And while we may never know the extent to which ghostwriters were employed, it's clear that Stine was always the
When did this come out? Because there's another TV series that he hasn't talked about.
driving force behind the franchise, creating an iconic world that continues to captivate readers to this day. Over 30 years after its initial inception, Goosebumps is still going strong, pumping out books, films, and TV series.
I will say thank you. I will say there's 2 new series out there.
But there's no doubt that Goosebumps' peak as a cultural phenomena was in the 1990s. Before all the hype that transformed the series into a global franchise, Goosebumps was simply a book on the shelf, able to enthrall young readers through catchy titles, imaginative cover art, and engaging plots. While Goosebumps was never high-level literature, it got kids reading, creating a new generation of book lovers and leaving a lasting impression on its audience. While the lawsuits certainly slowed the franchise down, Goosebumps has embedded itself into the fabric of American culture and will not soon be forgotten. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. And if you'd like to support me on Patreon, you can find the link in the description.
I'll pause it there. Yeah, not a bad thing. I will say there is 2 Goosebumps shows that are coming out that are definitely geared more towards the people who read Goosebumps as a kid. It's definitely a more adult centric show. This is not a bad video by Channel Surfer. One of those things where it's just like, but there is like the issue with Goosebumps, and this is someone as I grew up in that era. Goosebumps was great pre-internet. Like a lot of the horror stuff is, this whole series came out pre-internet, and it had the advantage of, like, it was a horror for kids, but at the same time, it's like you had like the weird concerned parents who were like, "No, my kid won't watch that book." There were people who were like, "Hey, like I know my buddy who went to a Catholic school was not allowed to read Harry Potter as a book report because it practiced witchcraft." And it's like, wait a second, you're allowed to read J.K. Tolkien, Lord of the Rings series. Yeah, I did not know all that stuff with the legal stuff with R.L. Stein. But yeah, that's really it. Go check out the main page. He apparently has another one on. Let's see, what are some of the other topics this my man here has? Let's see. Yeah. That was his last video, and it's from 3 months ago. Never mind. He looks like he takes these breaks. Like it's 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, 6 months. So, but it's like the death of the Lumen Entertainment Group, the death of Hollywood Pictures, Halloween-related lost media, the downfall of Trademark Pictures, the death of Touchstone Pictures. Very true. That they used to be everywhere. You can't watch an old like 90s movie without seeing that in there. Curse of Billy Lane. 5 years ago. Whatever happened to Disney's Zog? What happened to Zog Disney? I don't know. But yeah, just he seems to put out stuff sparingly. I'm not sure if this is like his secondary channel, whatnot. But that's it. That's all I have, and I'll see you weird people later.